We're live. Happy Tuesday. Happy afternoon. It's 25 afternoon, so it qualifies as afternoon. Welcome to NetWurk AI, InSide NetWurk, where we talk about AI in marketing, AI in automation, and all the things that you are desperate to know to make your business grow. Awesome. Mickey Black in the mix here with Jennifer J. What's happening, Jennifer? How's it going?
Hey, Mickey, what's going on? Happy Tuesday to everyone listening. I am just glad to be here.
Awesome. Glad to be here too. Awesome. So we got a topic, which is a hot topic today. So talking about algorithms. So we focus on social media marketing, and as much as you want to think your content is dope, it's nothing without getting the attention of the algorithm. The algorithm can make or break you these days. So wanted to kind of look at what that means, because I think it's like a mystery to a lot of folks. They hear the word, the algorithm, and it's some sort of like computer wave pattern or whatever. But you don't necessarily understand its implications on the content, on the performance of your social channels. So I wanted to just kind of put it in plain terms. So simple terms. Algorithm is a set of rules or patterns that a social platform uses to decide what to show what users. And it's really as simple as that. Like there are certain programmatic differences between the platforms, but really it's as straightforward as that. What do you what's your take on the algorithms, Jen? Are you you're a fan of the algorithms, or are you always battling with the algorithms?
Well, it's just another part of business, right? It's a part of things we have to do, things we have to be aware of, and the ways we have to ride, right? We have to ride the algorithm, because what's the purpose of posting if no one sees it?
Right? That's exactly it. That's exactly it. And hopefully you hit the nail on the head. So hopefully somebody sees it. So hopefully the algorithm, when they're working properly, is to keep users engaged. So if you're on LinkedIn, if you're on Instagram, the algorithm identifies content and identifies it in relationship to your interests and shows you what the things that you are likely to want to see. So if it's like somebody at your job talking about their new promotion, you're likely going to see it because you work with them and you've liked their stuff in the history. And so it's like, you like this, right? So it's different from how content used to be, like how it used to be in a straight line, like you just would see everything and you'd see stuff that's not necessarily related to you. But hopefully now with the new algorithm updates we've seen in the last 10 years, content is more specific. Content is really tailored to the experience that you're trying to see on these platforms. So what's your, you got any algorithm secrets, Jen, in terms of, I know you're a poster, you post a lot. I see all your stuff a lot. What do you do to kind of influence the algorithm?
I'm still trying to learn myself, but one of the things that I know that's very important when you're trying to pay attention and ride the algorithm per se is to make sure that you're posting at a time where your audience is highly engaged. Or if you post and no one engages, well, then you need to post at a different time so that you can get this engagement on there. You hear a lot about people saying, oh, well, let's all post and follow each other and do these things. But it means nothing if no one is engaging on your content. Because one thing about algorithms, no matter what platform you're on, the more engagement that algorithm sees, then it's going to start showing and saying like, hey, I hate to use this as an analogy, but it's like a commotion. If you're somewhere and you see a group of people gathering, it's a commotion, right? Now, normally I don't go over there. I go the opposite way. But the algorithm sends traffic to, hey, what is this commotion going on? And so it sends to that commotion. So if you want to do a follow train, do an engagement train. Hey, let's engage on each other's content.
I like that. I like that. I like also the analogy of the commotion, because when in real life, and you said it, when you see commotion, you want to know what's that all about? What's going on over there? And it reminds me of a phrase somebody said, like they said on social media, sugar and salt is just the same. Meaning, if somebody, comments on it because they don't like it, or they comment on it because they do like it, the engagement is the same. People are giving your content attention, and I think that's and another thing, not to lose another piece. You got a couple of gems there, but the time when your audience is engaged, are you appealing to professionals who might be on, in the morning as they get their day started? Or are you appealing to teenagers who might be, on like 3 or 4 o'clock when they get out of school and they're socializing after school? So a lot of times you definitely have to pay attention to your audience and figure out their engagement patterns. But time is a big thing to do with that. And the another thing is the different platforms. So the different platforms have their different algorithmic aims, like Facebook. So Facebook is where a lot of personal connections are made. You might have family, friends, and that sort of thing. And Facebook looks for what they call meaningful interactions. So when you like your friends, vacations pictures, or you share your grandchildren's photos or videos, it looks for those different types of engagement opportunities. You a big Facebook fan, Jen?
I'm wherever the people are. So I'm kind of between right now Facebook and LinkedIn, and then another platform called Alignable.
Alignable. I like Alignable a lot. You would introduce me to Alignable.
Mhm,
I think it's really dope, and I think, like yourself, I do the same. I'm wherever the people are.
mhm,
One of the things I like, and just I take note of the success or rate of success on different platforms. And one of the things I notice about Facebook is because of its algorithm of interpersonal things. If you've got a brand where you're focusing on either a local region or like a affinity group, like say somebody worked for a basketball brand, and because people on Facebook talk about sports, and if you're into sports, usually your friends are going to be into it. Those sorts of brands get a good footing because if I identify one person who likes basketball, more than likely he's going to know a dozen more people who like basketball. So when he likes it, it's going to see his friend groups. I think that's been a good thing for Facebook in terms of virality, whether it be local or human interest, because of the connectivity with people on Facebook. The other one, what's your thoughts on X? It used to be Twitter. Have you gotten used to calling it X yet? You made
That's
that leap?
really funny. That is really funny because I went to post on there yesterday, and to be honest, when it changed to X, I didn't even know. I'm like, is this because it was so close to Threads, right?
Yeah.
And the Threads, what is this X? Did Threads change to X? So I hear people say a lot of good things about X, Twitter. Um, but I just post on there, and I I really am not sure, to be honest
Yeah.
with you, because I haven't really analyzed it like I should, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, I totally get you. It's one of those spaces where, like, I know people have a lot of success on Twitter, which is now X. But to a lot of people, it could just be like a storm of tweets and a storm of bots and a storm of nonsense, and you get lost in it.
Mhm.
Um, but I think for the people for whom it works, it really works. One of the things I've had success with is identifying tribes. So usually, if you see somebody who's, let's say, I worked on a brand that was like an Afro punk brand. It was like a black punk, whatever.
Mhm.
And usually on Twitter, because it's open, you can see if it's like one punk brand, you can see all the people that follow that brand and then start to make connections that way. But otherwise, yes, it is a challenging platform. And I think it's going to be different. I think now that they've changed the name to X, they're changing features. I think it's going to be much different. It's probably going to not perform well for a while as it goes through the transition, but I think it'll eventually be something new. Where I think stake your claim, because x.com is a dope URL. So that's what
No,
it's going to be. Yeah, it's going to be the new
yeah,
one's going to be
get that
x.com. Yeah, so like if you go to x.com and forwards to Twitter, so they're going to change it over to x.com.
right.
And I think it's going to be like your central hub. Like I think they're going to try and mix in offerings of PayPal, shopping like Amazon, social media like Facebook, but all in one place. So I think for a marketer, it's good to stake your claim now, because that x.com is going to be valuable real estate in the future. So I think it's going to be dope.
Yeah.
But speaking of your favorite, my favorite as well, LinkedIn. So it's a little bit different. They've got like connections, and you have to know the people you follow. It's not going to be as quote unquote viral because you don't have the freedom of connections. It's a little bit more personal, a little bit more up close. What are your what's your thoughts on LinkedIn, and what's your success has been so far?
So LinkedIn is one of those missed opportunities, right? A lot of people miss a lot of opportunities with LinkedIn because as you network in the business online, that's really where everyone goes to connect with me on LinkedIn. And if we're connected on LinkedIn, it's more of a, I'm gonna say, mature conversation than it is on other platforms, because we're all there for one reason. Either you're a professional in the corporate environment, or you're a business owner, and it's just that. It's no, real social, or what did you eat, or any of those things. So I really like it because you get in it, you get in what you get out of it what you put into it. And so I really like the connections, I like the community, I like the information, and you have networks over there. It's networks on LinkedIn as well that you can follow. And I've learned so much from my Success Champions networking group on how to actually navigate LinkedIn properly. So if it wasn't for them, I probably wouldn't feel this way about LinkedIn. So
Good point. Good point. And I think you're right when you say LinkedIn is a missed opportunity. I think whether it be a lot of younger people, a lot of cool people don't look at LinkedIn as a place they need to be. They'll kind of like, yeah, that's for like the nerds or the suits. But I think even from a creative standpoint, whether you're a writer, filmmaker, even musician, you're looking to get a label deal or whatever, or connect with venues, the business owners, the bookers, the agents are going to be on LinkedIn. But also, you also make a good point about the networks and the connections. So whether you're a first degree connection or a second degree connection, people can see the people you know in common with the people they know. And it's almost like social validation in a way. Like it's like, oh, this guy's got to be of some consequence because he's connected to so and so. But also the value that everybody's on the same page. Everybody's trying to further their business, really improve themselves professionally. So I think it's a good community, so to speak.
you know what else you know what else you're doing? You're leveraging your network with indirectly, you know? So you know how they say leverage your network, leverage your connections. I really don't have to say, hey, Mickey, can you introduce me to so and so, because all I have to do is connect with that person. They're going to see that I'm connected with you already. And
Mm-hmm.
so now I'm leveraging you indirectly without having to bother you for the introduction, and I could just make it. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about LinkedIn as a professional network, which is why I like being over there, because you don't have all of the different intricacies that you have in the other platform.
Yeah, yeah. And you mentioned one. It's not on our list, but it is a good one. Alignable.
Mhm.
What's your? I've you put me onto Alignable. For me, it's been so there's good and bad. So I think the good is that there's a really active user base. Like not a lot of people know about Alignable, but the people that know are really super deep into it.
Mhm.
Um, and I think just the activity and everybody just aggressively networking is a dope energy. The thing I don't like about it is that it seems to limitly regionally, like if because I'm in Philadelphia, so it wants to show me everybody in Philadelphia. Like it's like, yeah, connect with everybody. Like, but if you don't want to connect, if you want to connect with folks in New York, California, whatever, I think you have to like pay more to have exposure nationally. But otherwise, it's dope. What's been your? I know you're probably like a pro on Alignable. What's your take on it?
So I've been on Alignable since they first came out. And when they first came out, I think it was like 2018 or something like that. It wasn't it wasn't active. It was just like, okay. But now it is a great network. And I know people who excel, and that is the only platform they're on.
That's
And the
interesting.
reason why is because it's all business owners. Again, it's similar to LinkedIn.
Yeah,
It's all business owners. And you can kind of go where you want to go. I think they limit you because they want to create these local alliances
good
to be
point.
able to have people connect locally, because a lot of us miss opportunities as well with connecting with local businesses right in our backyard instead of trying to go nationally. So I think that's why they do it, because they want to make sure you connect locally. Also, they take it off of Alignable as well. So they do have in-person events with, like, they have ambassadors alliances. Wait a minute, what's it called? Ambassador or alliance? I don't remember, but I think it's an ambassador. And then that ambassador has to have at least one local event a month.
I
And
like it.
so, yeah, I like that too. I am looking to become an ambassador. I'll probably do that in like September, October.
That is super cool. That is super cool. So I got a couple of tips. I know we had notes, but I came up. Oh yeah, I came up with a couple of thought starters. so, so one, I came up with a couple of tips and a couple of thought starters. So one of the things talking about engagement is key. So I think a lot of people put their content out there and they looking for people to just respond to their content, but I think people overlook the power of engaging with other people's content. So if you see somebody who you're interested in connecting with, like their things, engage with their content or comment. And I think that's a good way to have exposure to other networks. So people see your comment on that other person's post and are now aware of you. But what's your thoughts on that?
Oh yeah, I sometimes don't even post. Like, if you look at my LinkedIn, it's sporadic. I know consistency is the key, but I kind of fell off. But what I found is when I comment on other people's posts, I get more engagement and traction and eyes on me. And especially if you take that post and you reshare it and then comment, huge, huge.
Yeah, that is a big that is a big thing. I actually to do that more. I do the commenting and engaging, but the resharing is also big because it's almost like a double visibility.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah,
So
it is definitely double digit.
you touched on my second my consistency over frequency. Because what a lot of people do is they'll get like a stockpile of content and just dump it, but it's almost like it doesn't give the algorithm an impression of activity over time. One of the things that the algorithm definitely does look for is like over time, are you active? So it's almost better to post less content but over a consistent amount of time versus like a lot of content but not consistently.
Mhm.
um I'm trying to get better at that myself. I think scheduling helps, and I think that's and not to touch on or make this a commercial, but I think this is one of the places where network AI shines, is being able to provide a battery of content but also look at that content as deployed over time. So it's not with the thought that we're just going to dump a bunch of content, but really how does that content perform over time and create some sort of almost like series effect. But what's your thought on that whole?
So and I'm gonna talk about my issue. My issue is I have a whole content calendar. I have a whole content schedule that I used AI to create. My issue is the quality, right? And so for me, I don't want to just throw stuff out here just to post. Um, I want it to be impactful. I want it to mean something. I want you to be able to get something out of it when I do post. And I think that's what holds me back. But scheduling is definitely consistency. You don't even have to think about it. And we talk about AI all the time. You could create a whole content calendar, and then
Mm-hmm.
you can use Midjourney to create, or the different AI platforms to create the videos or the images. Network AI is an example. There's a whole podcast, and none of us are on it, right? So you can do it. You just have to sit still and do it. And don't be like me and hold the content back because you're trying to make it quality.
No, that's all very true. And it kind of leads to the third tip that I had was around diversifying content types. So a lot of times, whether it's like you've everybody's seen it, like the one person who discovers quotes and then they just got a million quotes, right? Like, or they discover that one sort of video that hits, and it's just like everything is that one sort of video. But
Mhm.
really, keeping your audience engaged requires different types of content, mixing the videos with the quotes with the polls. A lot of people miss out on polls to be able to ask their audience questions and get direct feedback that can be so much more useful than just a like. But what's your thought on the different types of content? Have you had more success with some versus others?
Yeah, I know my audience prefers videos of me delivering, um, tips, whatever. I remember quote now I'm gonna talk about quotes. I remember one time I had a social media manager, and they have posted quotes. I'm like, don't post quotes. No one comes to me for inspiration. They come to me because they want to know about systems and automations. Because when you post quotes, they tank on my platform. Nobody, that's not why they're there. You know what I mean? So that's another you have to watch to see how your audience responds. They love videos of me, they love GIFs, funny GIFs. And I've repurposed quotes now since ChatGPT came out, and I've asked it to create me quotes based on my industry, systems and automation. So when I
Good
do
point.
post quotes, it's quotes about systems and automations from other industry geniuses who, have quotes out there.
That
So
is a
you
good
just have
point.
to
Yeah.
watch. Yeah, you like just like you say here, to see what resonates best, you definitely have to go back and review it to make sure that your audience likes it. If not, you might have to scrap that bucket of content and try something else.
Yeah, that's a good point. I never thought about the almost like taking it to the next level with the quotes and taking it and making it specific to your brand or catering to your brand, and really kind of intertwining the two. Um, so I got a couple of other points. Oh, just a couple of final thoughts, thought starters, let's call them. Emotions matter. And so, especially now, whether it's the politics or even the, sentimental videos that make people cry, or even the big one is the kittens or the babies or the dogs or whatever, things that make people feel. But emotions matter on social media. The things that can make people feel and elicit an emotional response usually get a big polarizing amplification. What are your thoughts around it, for good and for bad? Because it could be good, as in, Mr. Beast giving away money to a homeless guy and changing his life, and we all feel great. Or it could be bad with, we've all seen with the political social media content where people are polarizing for the sake of clicks. What do you think about that piece of it?
I mean, so one thing that one of my coaches said was the person with the most attention wins. A lot of times it's for attention. A lot of times they're trying to ride or finagle the algorithm. But it works no matter what it is, no matter how it is. One of the things that one of the platforms we didn't talk about is TikTok. And you see a lot of emotional content on TikTok in that aspect as well. So I think it just, again, it depends on your audience and what's going to resonate with them and how can you continue to resonate with them, right? So if it's humanitarian efforts, if it's political efforts, if it's for a specific cause, like my cousin is working on a cause for Africa. So it just really depends on who your audience is and if they're into that, right? If they'll react to that, or if you lose traction.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where you kind of have to watch the audience, and it's one that it kind of goes back to consistency, right? So you have to be consistent to see what works.
See if it worked, right?
Yeah, to be able to look back at those analytics, and want to just give a shout out. We got the Sherry Brooks in the house. Looks like she says she's still figuring out the social media piece herself, as we all are. I think it's a journey, not a destination. Right. And we all grow with our audience. Another thought starter is, so we all know that we are tracked when we like, comment, share, whatever. But they call it almost like a shadow, like a digital shadow. So the algorithm also tracks anytime you pause your scroll. So if you're like scrolling on Instagram and you see a scroll stopper, even if you don't stop, like, or share, it's taking note of that, and it's going to change what you see based on whether you pause to look at it, you hover over a link on your desktop, or you slow down. Interesting to see how far the tracking goes. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's going to get more intuitive. We are on the cusp of a lot of technological advancements that I don't know. Again, I talked about this in our first episode, but I don't know why people are so shocked that, you've been seeing what's to come forever. The Matrix movie, the Jetsons, that movie I talked about, The Citizen. It's a Disney movie called Smart Home, right? And so in Smart Home, the house does everything. They programmed AI into this house. And I think that movie came out, to be honest with you, Mickey, in like 2000 and let me see, 5, maybe before that. Maybe it came out in the 90s, because I watched it with my children. So this whole movie concept came from somewhere. So why we don't think that we're going to see these things in the future, I don't know. But I know that it's going to get more intuitive and we have to be careful. Definitely have to be careful. And we need to leverage it and use it in our business. So right now, the big thing is AI. So you can use AI. There's already platforms that's using AI for, to help you with the algorithm to tell you when the best time to post is. But like you said, you have to be consistent. So consistency is the key. You have to be consistent so that you can get data. It's still going to be data driven. Even the algorithm and the AI needs data to be able to analyze what to do next. So
yeah. It's interesting you mentioned the smart home. So like my home, I've got most things hooked up to like smart lights and smart this and that. And the other day, so like it's timed by like parts of the day. So like in the morning, certain lights come on, and in the evening they go off, and outside lights come on. Mm-hmm. And the other day we were starting our day, and I think the lights were off the Wi-Fi; they weren't on, and it was like we didn't know what to do. We didn't know how to turn lights on. Couldn't figure it. Walking around, couldn't turn on the lights.
That's going to be another problem. You got to have an override switch, okay?
Now, this is going to be the last thought starter, but seriousness, especially in the African American tech space, there's a lot of talk around bias in the algorithm, whether or not like they have like an algorithm in Target that identifies people who have been known to steal. And there was a couple of cases of mistaken identity because the algorithm, whether it be from an image-based standpoint or certain other details, can have difficulty with African Americans. Or, sometimes, you don't have enough training data of African Americans in these large language models or image models, and it can lead to issues. What are your thoughts around that?
No, I agree wholeheartedly, because you do have bad actors that do things to influence that as well. So I think the more we use it for positivity, the more we train it, right? Because it's a computer at the end of the day. The algorithm is operated by a computer, and that computer takes in data, and the data has to be fed to it. Now, I'm not going to go off on this whole thing about, the conspiracy and the Black Lives Matter movement and how that all started, but it was done by data being fed by a bad actor into algorithms to show you specific type of content. How do and if you think about that, that's what we do with ads, right? We set a set of parameters and we say, these are the people I want you to put this ad in front of. So even with this scroll data, if we're able to use that to our benefit as far as advertising our business or anything positive, we can feed more positive information in instead of allowing the negative information to be fed in about our culture, if that makes sense.
Oh, it totally does. And I think that's one of the reasons why what we're doing is so important, whether it be participating in the tech industry and making sure that there's diversity and a presence from a business standpoint, or just the dialogue, just having these sorts of dialogues be present in the media. I think it's very important that we be involved in the outcome because it's happening. And I think that kind of brings me to the final thought I had was it's essential to what we're doing. Like it's happening. Like it's there's no avoiding it. So I think it's something we have to kind of just really wholeheartedly work with. But what are your thoughts?
I think that there are absolutely no excuses now. There's no excuses. Not even for me. There's no excuses because we have all the tools and resources to make this a consistent, authentic, and present quality content out regarding our business, our initiatives, our nonprofits, whatever we're trying to get the word out about. We have the tools and resources. We just need to use them and leverage them properly. Again, the more positive data we can feed in, the better results we'll get.
Yeah, yeah. It's I like what you said about there's no excuses. Because we often complain about lack of resources, lack of access, lack of tools. I think this is an instance where, listen, I always thought things like this in terms of technology would exist. I always thought that they would probably not make it available to the masses. So the mere fact that we have access to these sorts of tools and technology is we're responsible. It would be irresponsible not to leverage these tools for the sake of the future of the community, the future of that whole thing. Oh, and so one of the things I wanted to mention before we close was even though we know it all, we want to it's not a one size fits all scenario, and that's one of the things about the platform where we've got this audit tool, and I know you got to go through the user experience of the audit tool, but I wanted to share it with our audience. So I made a special URL, NetWurk.ai, free brand audit, where if you're interested, you can take our brand audit, and our platform would come up with a score report and a presence report and a recommendation specifically for your brand. So we've got a platform that's powered by ChatGPT. So it uses the OpenAI technology as a platform, and we've train the model to specifically work on social media marketing strategy for your brand. So it's not meant to, come up with baby names. It's not trained to, play tic-tac-toe. It is a social media marketing platform trained for that aim. So we're opening it up for folks if you want to visit NetWurk.ai, free brand audit. You can check out and do a free brand audit and see what your rating is or how your brand scores on social media. Anyway, so that was actually time goes by fast, but we've been chatting this almost 40 minutes goes by fast.
And we came on early.
So awesome. So that's it for the lunch break. Anything you want to say in parting? Any?
No, definitely take this audit. It is amazing the information that it spits out. And again, it's powered by AI. So we practice what we preach.
Awesome. Well, we'll see you again next Tuesday, 12:30, lunchtime, Inside NetWurk, where we dig into the latest AI topics in network AI. Awesome. Thanks for joining. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you later. Cheers.